Hi everyone, this is Peter Renton and I am the publisher of the Social Lending Network, and today we are going to run through LendStats. Basically, I'm going to give you an introduction to this very powerful statistics site, and if you've never been there and used LendStats, I highly recommend every investor do a little bit of analysis here. Basically, what LendStats provides you is a window onto the history of both Prosper and Lending Club, as far as how the loans have performed, what loans have performed best. You basically, Ken, who is the developer of LendStats, has provided investors a front end to inquire into this publicly available information, and it's a very powerful tool. So here we are. We're at lendstats.com, and it can be a little overwhelming. There is a lot of information on this page and on LendStats in general. So I'm just going to hit a few of the high points of this page, and then we're going to go and dig into the Prosper and the Lending Club loan data. So the first thing I like to look at is the performance summary. This basically provides a breakdown by year and by credit grade of all the loans in the history of Prosper and Lending Club. And keep in mind, Ken has his own proprietary ROI calculation method, and it takes into account late loans. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we go over to the Prosper and Lending Club's data. But basically, it's providing an estimated ROI on all the loans. You can see here in Prosper 1.0, which went from 2006 to 2008, wasn't great for investors, and but when they reopened in 2009 after their quiet period, a time now that is called Prosper 2.0, you can see that Prosper have done much better for investors. Lending Club didn't have as bad of a beginning as Prosper, but you can see it has improved each year and continues to get better. Now, the other thing on the home page that I like to look at, just mainly for curiosity's sake, is originations per month. You can see where Lending Club is at and where Prosper is at as of today. That's the other thing I need to point out is that LendStats is updated every single day, so the data is always up to date. So now I'm going to take you over to the Prosper stats. We're going to look at the Prosper loan history. Okay, and this page has a bunch of different information on it, and we're just going to hit a few of the highlights. Now, the first thing I like to do is Ken has defaulted here to January of 2010 as far as looking at the loans. I actually like to go back to July of 2009. This way I'm pulling in all of the Prosper 2.0 loans, and when you do that, you can come down here and you can see the ROI, the estimated ROI of these loans, and the number of loans on the platform. Now, just a quick word about this estimated ROI. How this is calculated is it takes into account late loans. So basically, Ken applies a loss factor to each, basically how late the loan is. It depends on how much it's going to be deducted from the future ROI. So you can see that a loan that's just less than 15 days late, it's going to basically take 30% off the value of the full value of that loan as far as making it through to maturity. And that's a way you can get a pretty accurate ROI of where you stand right now. So that's how he works it out. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that loss factors is a way that he can take into account a current portfolio and really look at what is the real ROI here. So we have the 22,000 loans in Prosper 2.0. I'm going to go and break those down a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do is look at Prosper rating. This is just the loan grade that Prosper assigns each loan, and I'm going to go from a high of C down to a low of E, just to basically extract those loans, separate those loans out from all the other loans on the platform. And you can see that we've actually roughly halved the number of loans available, but our estimated ROI has gone up significantly. And the other thing I want to do now is go and look at previous borrowers here, and all this information over here it relates to previous borrowers. We've got, if a borrower has come along to Prosper and taken out a second or a third loan, you can isolate those people by putting in information here. What I like to do is just let's look at borrowers who have had at least one loan at Prosper. So what this is going to do, this is going to ignore their first loan and just look at the second loans of these people. And there's a lot of repeat borrowers at Prosper, so you can get a good idea of what that's going to do. And we went from, as I said, we went from 11,500 loans down to just over 4,000. So we've definitely dropped the number of loans on the platform. But look at our ROI; it's gone up over 14%. So long-time readers of the blog know that I'm a big fan of repeat borrowers on Prosper, and you can see why. This is Ken estimates that all repeat borrowers from July of 2009 onwards in the C to E range have produced an ROI of over 14%. So that is, that's a good starting point. That's certainly, I think, an ROI that most people would love to have. But what we're going to do is just go over here now, because stuck away on the right hand side of the screen is something that's very, very powerful. Now, see this box is checked by default. You can view the complete performance breakdown. So what this does, it lets you look at all the different credit factors, all the different factors that are producing that producing that return. And you can see that you can break it down. RB means repeat borrowers here. You can break it down by Prosper rating. You can break it down by year. What is each year producing as far as returns go? So it's basically taking those 4,000 loans that are on the 4,000 plus loans that are all the repeat borrowers, and it's breaking them down further. And here you can go and do some more analysis, and you can look and say, right, well, okay, you can see credit score here. It basically drops down. The higher the credit score, the higher the ROI. That might be something you could then do a more analysis on, and you could set that up as a filter. And you've got also loan purpose. You've got all kinds of different things there for loan purpose. You've got number of inquiries, one of my favorite loan filters, and you can see the different ROIs that each of those go. Now, one thing I would like to point out is that you need to also pay attention to the total. This is total number of loans right here, because you might say, oh, look at this, boy, I'm looking at like baby adoption, 29.7%. That's fantastic. Only one loan, so totally it's not relevant at all statistically. So you want to make sure this number is fairly high if you're going to go and look at further some of these criteria. So you just keep going down. You can see income, all sorts of different things where you can look at the different criteria, and you can filter down this 4,000 loans. So if you wanted to go and say, right, let's maybe just go and look at, let's have zero inquiries, another one of my favorite ones. Boom, you can go and then say, look at all the loans on the platform, and you can say, right, well, we've now gone down from 22,000 down to 1,739. So we have pretty much eliminated 90% of the loans. But our ROI is up at 15.85%. So very, very, very great way to look at the loan history. Of course, this is no guarantee that loans going forward are going to produce that ROI, but it does give you an idea of what has worked in the past. Now, one final thing before we move over to Lending Club, I want to show you about Prosper, and that is your own lender information. Now, I have two accounts at Prosper, and I look up, my main account is my SLN-10, and you could go Prosper Lender Search if this is your screen name on Prosper, and you can go and look at your what Ken believes your ROI is going forward. Now, Prosper also provides this information, and I just logged on this morning, and Prosper said that my ROI for all my loans was over 18%. And I come down here and look at LendStats and see it's 13.57. And I look at this pretty regularly, and I know just a couple of weeks ago that was up over 15. And I see, well, what's going on here? And I can go down and look at, this is my loan, only my loan portfolio. And you can see here I've had, basically in the last month, I've had 18 loans go late, and that is he's taking into account these loss factors, and that is dragging down my ROI. Now, when Prosper's number, the 18% Prosper gives you, they are fully valuing these loans. They don't actually impact your ROI on Prosper until you have a default. So this gives me a better idea of what my ROI is going to be like going forward. And my goal on Prosper is to produce a 15% ROI, and I've dropped below that, so I need to maybe do some work and have a look at some things going forward. Okay, so now let's move over to Lending Club. Lending Club, pretty similar information to Prosper, but you have there are also some differences. So with Lending Club, Ken again has defaulted to January of 2010. I like to go back to January of 2009 there, just because it gives a bit more data in, and I think the underwriting at Lending Club has changed dramatically since the very early days. So let's remove those loans from consideration and just go with January 2009 onwards. And you can see the ROI here is 6.53%. And what I'm going to do is do a similar thing to what I did on Prosper. I'm going to go and look at basically the C through E, and I want to stress that these loan grades aren't equivalent. A C on Lending Club is more like an what would it be? Probably an A or a B on Prosper. They definitely have different underwriting criteria and different percentages. So this is just a way to kind of see what some of the higher risk borrowers do, and you can see the ROI has jumped up a little bit. Now, one of my favorite filters here, there's no previous borrower information on Lending Club. They don't make that available, but when you do zero inquiries, that's a great way to kind of bump up your ROI. And you can see here it goes up to 8.69% with 6,933 loans. Still a good chunk of loans available. Now we're going to again look at the complete performance breakdown over here, and if we go and have a look, and keep in mind that we're at 8.69 ROI, and this is a way to use this complete performance breakdown. Let's see if I can find a whole bunch of things that are more than 8.69, and I can go down and you can see the different debt to income ratio, home ownership, loan purpose. You see, there's a car loan at 12.8, but there's only 142 of them. It's not enough to make it statistically relevant. I would just ignore that. Where I'm going to go down and here and I'll look at income. So when you 8.9 on the number right now as ROI, you can see as you get up into higher incomes, you actually get up into some higher returns. And I can see once you hit $6,000 a month in income, now there's quite a few loans here. There's quite a few people to choose from. This is statistically relevant. So if I go back over here and say, go and choose $6,000 a month. Now you're gonna dramatically reduce your number of loans, but this is a way to bump up this ROI. So you go, okay, let's use $6,000 a month, and we've basically gone up a whole percentage point up to 9.83, and 2,406 loans. Still enough loans on the platform. Now, just a quick point on that. I always like to make sure there's at least 500 loans. If you can't do a filter that produces at least 500 loans, that just isn't going to be enough for you to invest in, and I don't think it's even statistically relevant. If you go and you can find a way to produce 18% returns with 120 loans, that's just not enough information. Ideally, I think you need 1,000, but I ignore pretty much anything that's less than 500 loans here as far as filtering goes. So that is basically my introduction to LendStats. I think I highly encourage you to play around, go and run a whole bunch of different filters, see what you can come up with, look at the loan history, see what's worked before, and then you can decide how you want to invest going forward. So thank you very much for your time. I hope this video has been helpful.